The station called Farpoint Drift moved slowly through a quiet part of space. It was old, built from many different designs, and shared by many species. Some parts were smooth and shining. Other parts were rough and patched many times. Life there was not easy, but it was possible. Kara moved through the lower market ring with fast steps. Her long fingers shook as she held a small medical scanner that was flashing weak yellow lights. Beside her, other beings walked and talked, unaware of the fear building inside her chest. She kept her eyes forward, focused on reaching the small living unit at the edge of the station. Her mother, Sela, was lying on a narrow rest platform. Her breathing was slow and uneven. Her skin, usually bright with natural color, looked dull and cold. The scanner beeped again, showing symbols Kara had seen before, but never like this. Earlier that cycle, they had gone to the hydroponic bay to collect nutrient plants. It was supposed to be safe. The bay was controlled, regulated, and inspected. But one small creature had slipped through. A thin, fast-moving animal with sharp reflexes and hidden danger. It struck once and vanished. At first, Sela said it was nothing, a small wound, a little pain. But then her steps became unsteady. Her words slowed. By the time Kara called for help, the venom had already begun its work. The station medics arrived quickly. They used scanners, light tools, and soft energy fields. They tried every standard method, but the venom did not respond. It adapted. It resisted. The medics exchanged worried looks with each other. "This compound is not in our records," one of them said. "It changes structure when exposed to treatment." Another shook their head. "Nanotech fails. Neutralizers fail. We can slow it, but not stop it." Kara felt panic rise. "Then what do we do?" she asked. The answer came too slowly. "We wait, or we prepare for loss. We fire. Kara refused to accept that. She stayed by her mother's side long after the medics left. She watched every breath, every small movement. She remembered stories her mother told her when she was young, stories about survival, about adapting, about strange beings called humans. Humans were rare on Farpoint Drift. They were not the strongest species. They were not the most advanced. But they had a reputation. When systems failed, when rules broke, humans tried anyway. Kara made a decision. She left her mother with a basic stabilizer and ran through the station. She passed levels where gravity felt wrong and air smelled of metal. She reached the engineering section where noise and heat filled the corridors. She found the human near an open panel, hands deep inside a machine, tools scattered around him. He was medium-sized, covered in worn fabric clothing, with tired eyes and calm posture. "Please?" Kara said, her voice breaking.
"Human. I need help." He pulled his hands out slowly and turned to face her.
"What's wrong?" he asked. "My mother," Kara said.
She was bitten by a venomous creature. The medics cannot stop it. They said it adapts. They said there is nothing more to do. The human listened without interrupting. He did not rush. He did not panic. When she finished, he wiped his hands on a cloth and nodded once. "Take me to her," he said. As they moved through the station, Kara explained everything she knew. The time of the bite, the symptoms, the failed treatments. The human asked simple questions and stored the answers quietly. When they reached the living unit, the human stopped near the door. He looked at Sela carefully, without touching her at first. He watched her breathing. He watched her skin tone. He checked the stabilizer readings. "This venom is biological. he said slowly. Not engineered. That's why your systems struggle. They expect predictable patterns. Shara did not understand all his words, but his voice gave her hope. Can you help her? She asked. I don't know yet, he said honestly, but I can try. He asked for basic items: clean fabric, simple tools, a container of water, things the medics never requested. He worked with care, adjusting the stabilizer, changing the way it interacted with her body. He avoided complex systems and relied on observation. Alien medics returned when they sensed unauthorized treatment. They protested at once. This is unsafe, one said. These methods are unverified. The human looked at them calmly. Your methods are not working, he replied. Mine might. You risk accelerating the venom, another said. Yes, the human answered. But doing nothing guarantees the result you fear. The room fell silent. Kara watched as the human worked, his focus complete. He spoke softly, mostly to himself. He explained some things in simple terms when Kara asked, but never slowed his actions. Humans grew up with danger, he said at one point. Poison plants, venomous animals, infections. We learned early that waiting for perfect answers often meant dying. Scylla stirred slightly. Her breathing became steadier for a moment. The scanner shifted from yellow toward pale green. Kara felt tears form. She's responding, she said. Stabilizing, the human corrected. But
Not cured. Not yet.
he leaned back slightly, studying the readings. The venom is active but slower. That gives us time. The alien medics watched in uneasy silence. Their training told them this was wrong, but the data showed improvement. What are you doing differently? One finally asked. I'm not fighting the venom directly, the human said. I'm giving her body a chance to fight it. Time passed slowly. Minutes felt like cycles. The human stayed alert, adjusting small things, watching closely. He did not leave her side. At last, Scylla opened her eyes slightly. She did not speak, but she was aware. Her gaze moved weakly toward Kara. Mother, Kara whispered. The human stepped back. She's not out of danger, he said, but she's not losing ground anymore. Relief washed over Kara, mixed with fear and gratitude. She looked at the human, not knowing what words to use. Thank you, she said simply. He nodded. We're not done, he replied.
But now, she has a chance.
Outside the room, word began to spread. A human was treating a case alien medicine could not. Some watched with doubt, others with curiosity. None could deny one thing. When hope was almost gone, the human had stepped forward. And for the first time since the bite, Kara allowed herself to believe her mother might live. The human worked slowly and carefully, moving around the small room like he understood the life inside it better than anyone else there. Kara watched every movement, every small adjustment. She wanted to ask questions, but she knew that talking too much would distract him. His focus was strong, calm, unlike anyone she had ever seen. He leaned over Scylla, studying her face, her breathing, the subtle changes in her skin.
The venom works in patterns, he said softly.
Your mother's body is strong, but it needs guidance, not machines.
Not energy fields. It needs time and careful steps. Kira tilted her head. Guidance? How can you guide it? The medic said it is impossible. Impossible for them, yes, he said. They rely on systems. I rely on humans. Humans evolved with danger. We learn to act when there is no perfect tool. We learn to watch, wait, and respond. Sometimes with our hands, sometimes with our minds, always with attention. He moved to a small table and pulled out a container of clean water. He dipped a cloth into it and gently wiped Sela's skin around the bite. Kara frowned. The medics had warned against touching the wound, but the human did not hesitate. His movements were careful, precise, and measured. "This slows the venom," he said. "It cleans, it cools, it gives the body a chance to slow the spread. But it works only if done right." Kara nodded. Even though she did not fully understand, she wanted to help. She wanted to do something. He handed her another cloth. "Keep this ready," he said. "When I ask, you will assist. Follow my instructions exactly. Do not rush. Do not guess." Kara followed, feeling the weight of responsibility. Her hands shook slightly as she held the cloth, waiting. She had never seen a human work like this. There was no fear, no panic, only calm, careful attention. The alien medics returned, whispering among themselves. They watched the human with suspicion. "This is untested," one of them said. "We should take over." "No," the human said quietly. "Testing is for safe cases. This is not safe. This is life." The room fell silent. The human began to explain his approach, not to convince the medics, but to document it. "Venom is not always predictable," he said. "Some compounds change when treated with high-energy fields. Some adapt to nanotech. But biology, life itself, responds to attention. Watch, guide, and give time. That is my method." The medics exchanged nervous glances. Some shook their heads. Some studied his every movement. None interfered. As he worked, Scylla stirred again. Her breathing became slightly deeper. Her color improved a little. The scanner showed a shift from pale yellow to a faint green. Kara felt her heart lift, but she did not speak. She knew it was not over. The human explained to her slowly, "This is not a cure. It is a pause. It is giving the body a chance to act. Venom cannot take life if it is slowed long enough for the immune system to respond. Humans have evolved with poisons and dangers like this. That is why I know how to act when no perfect solution exists."
Oh.
Kara's eyes widened. "You really believe you can stop it?" "I do not know," he admitted. "But doing nothing guarantees failure. Acting gives her a chance." The next hours passed slowly. The human instructed Kara to help with small tasks, applying compresses, adjusting stabilizers, observing breathing rhythms. She followed each instruction carefully, learning to understand the subtle signs of the venom's movement. She realized humans thought differently. Not faster. Not stronger. Not smarter in technology. But differently. They thought in patterns, possibilities, and timing. Aliens peeked into the room. Some whispered, some shook their heads. One young technician said, "Humans are reckless. They risk themselves for no reason." The human heard it and smiled faintly. "It is not recklessness," he said. "It is calculated risk. We learn early that hesitation kills. We learn to act, even when we do not know everything. That is survival." Kara felt awe grow inside her. Humans were strange. Strange but capable. They were fragile like anyone else, yet they carried courage that others could not understand. The hours turned into cycles. The venom slowed further. Scylla's color became more natural. Her breathing steadied. Kara could finally touch her mother's hand without fear. She felt warmth return. The human looked at Kara and nodded. "Now we wait." Her body will continue to respond, but I cannot stay with her forever. She is strong enough to survive this next phase. If you continue the guidance, observe, act carefully, but trust her body. Kara swallowed hard. I can do it. You can, he said. Humans rely on observation, patience, and action. You can do that too. Life does not require fear when you are focused on survival. Kara felt a new confidence. She felt respect for the human, for the life inside her mother, and for herself. She realized humans were not perfect. They did not have all the answers, but they had courage, and they had methods. Methods born from survival, not from rules. The alien medics began to leave, still confused but less worried. The human had shown them a possibility they had never considered. Technology alone was not always enough. Biology, patience, and careful action could succeed where machines failed. Kara watched her mother breathe. She remembered her mother teaching her to stay calm in danger, to focus, to act carefully. She realized she had learned that lesson. Not fully, but enough. The human packed his tools slowly. He glanced at Sela one last time. She will need your care. Watch for signs. Keep her calm. The venom is slowed, but it is not gone. Observe, act, and trust life. Kara nodded. She felt hope growing like a light in the darkness. She understood that humans had something the station did not always value. A willingness to act when the world seemed impossible. Before leaving, the human smiled faintly at Kara. Remember, he said, humans survive because we do not wait for certainty. We act with what we have. Courage is in the action, not the outcome. Kara watched him go, feeling a mix of awe and gratitude. She realized the story of humans on Farpoint Drift was true. They survived, not because they were stronger, not because they had better tools, but because they acted when others could not. Alone with her mother, Kira continued the careful work the human had taught her. She monitored every sign, applied gentle care, and spoke softly to Sela. Her mother stirred again, a faint smile forming as she slowly opened her eyes. Kara whispered, "You are going to be okay, Mother. We will get through this." Outside the room, life on the station continued. Aliens moved through corridors, unaware of the quiet battle fought in that small space. Some watched curiously, some in disbelief, but one truth was clear. Humans had shown a new way to survive, a way the galaxy had rarely seen. And Kara knew as she held her mother's hand that the human had given more than treatment. He had given hope, and in a galaxy that often lost hope, that was a gift stronger than any machine or medicine. The hours grew longer. Kara never left her mother's side. She moved slowly, carefully, applying the compresses, monitoring the breathing, and speaking softly. Each small rise and fall of Silas' chest brought hope, but Kara knew the danger was not gone. The venom still lingered, still worked quietly inside her mother's body. She remembered the human's words. Action matters. Observation matters. Trust the life inside. She repeated them to herself like a mantra. She would not let fear control her. The human had returned once in the day, bringing new tools and adjustments. He explained that some of his methods would require a small, personal risk. Kara did not fully understand at first. "What do you mean, risk?" she asked. He looked at her calmly. "Sometimes to save life, humans use themselves as part of the process. Not recklessly, but carefully. To guide, to test, to stabilize. It is not common, but it works." Kara's eyes widened.
"You will? Risk yourself?" "Yes," he said simply. but only in measured ways.
Not without thought, not without reason. She could not imagine such courage. Aliens often avoided risk. Their systems, their machines, their rules, all existed to prevent personal danger. But this human thought differently. He acted because action was the tool, not because he did not fear. The human demonstrated on a small scale. He showed how careful contact, guided observation, and precise timing could slow the venom in her mother's system. He did not expose himself unnecessarily. He calculated every step. Kara watched, learning more than any school or textbook could teach. As the cycles passed, the venom slowed. Sela stirred more often. Her color returned slowly. Her breathing became stronger. The stabilizer readings improved. The human explained each change, which actions worked, which had little effect, which would be important in the next steps. But the venom was clever. It had adapted to every previous attempt. Kara realized that the human had to be careful and patient. Every movement, every small application of care mattered. One mistake could undo hours of work. The human paused and looked at Kara. "Your hands are steady," he said. "You can continue, but remember, this is a dance, not a battle. The venom is not an enemy you can attack with force. You guide life to respond." Kara nodded. She followed his instructions carefully. She felt her confidence grow with each small success. She realized humans survived because they acted with calm courage, not reckless fear. The alien medics returned again, still observing, still skeptical. "You are risking too much," one said quietly. "The venom is unpredictable. We cannot allow this method to continue." The human looked at them with calm eyes. "Doing nothing is guaranteed failure. Acting carefully is a chance. Which do you prefer?" The medics fell silent. They had no answer. The data showed that the venom's activity was decreasing. Sila's body was responding. Human methods were working where advanced technology failed. Night passed. Kara stayed awake, guiding her mother, watching every breath, adjusting compresses, and speaking softly. The human had taught her to trust, to act carefully, and to observe. The alien methods had rules. The human methods had life. That difference was clear. At one point, Sela opened her eyes slightly. She recognized Kara and tried to speak. Kara bent close, whispering words of comfort. The human watched silently, letting her take control of the moment. "You are learning well," he said later. "Humans survive because we do not wait." Even when we do not have certainty, even when the odds are against us. Kara realized that courage was not the absence of fear. Courage was acting despite fear. She felt the truth in his words. Humans had survived countless dangers because they refused to stop. They acted, even when others waited. The alien medics finally left the room, acknowledging silently that the human's method worked. They did not understand it fully. They had rules and protocols, but the human's action had bypassed them. Life had responded because someone dared to act when others would not. By the end of the long night, Sela was breathing strongly on her own. The venom had slowed so much that Kara could see small improvements every few minutes. Her mother's color returned further. Her fingers moved slightly. She could respond to soft words. Kara felt relief mixed with exhaustion. She looked at the human. "Will she survive?" she asked. He nodded. "She has a strong chance, but continue careful care. Observe, respond. Do not assume the danger is gone until her body fully recovers. Kara understood. Survival was not only about stopping the venom, it was about guiding life, trusting it, and acting when necessary. She realized humans had learned this over thousands of cycles on their own dangerous world. That was why they could survive where others could not. The human began to pack his small tools again. He gave instructions for what to do if symptoms changed. He showed Kara how to measure the subtle signs of the venom still present. He explained which actions could stabilize her further.
You will be fine, he said. She will be fine.
Life is stronger than you think, but it must be guided, not forced. Kara felt a new strength inside her. She realized she had learned more than medicine or science. She had learned courage, patience, observation, care. She had learned what humans carried in their hearts. As the human left, he smiled faintly. "You did well," he said. "Remember, acting matters more than waiting. Hope matters more than fear. Observe life, guide it, and act carefully. That is how humans survive." Kara watched him disappear into the corridor. She felt gratitude. She felt awe. She felt the quiet power of action. The night passed, and Sila's condition improved steadily. Kara stayed close, following the human's instructions, observing, guiding, and acting. Every small movement, every adjustment mattered. She realized the human had given her more than treatment. He had given her a way to think, a way to act, a way to survive. By the morning, Sila could sit up slightly. She smiled faintly at Kara. I feel better," she said, weakly but clearly. Kara squeezed her hand.
You are getting better, Mother.
"You will live." The human's lesson remained. Life was not about rules or machines. Life was about careful attention, patience, and the courage to act when others could not. Kara understood it now. Humans had survived in countless dangers because they acted when others waited. And now she had learned to act as they did. Not recklessly, not blindly, but carefully, patiently, and with courage. The station outside continued its busy rhythm. Aliens moved, spoke, and worked, unaware of the quiet triumph in the small room. But Kara knew something important. She knew that humans had a way of surviving, of guiding life, and of acting when others could not. And she also knew that she would never forget it. She would remember the calm courage of the human, the lesson of careful action, the power. Sila's recovery had begun, and Kara, guided by what she had learned, was ready to help her mother fully recover. In the quiet of the small room, life had taken back its chance, and for Kara the human had shown her that courage and careful action could save what seemed impossible. The small room was quiet, except for Sila's steady breathing and the soft sound of Kara moving around her. The venom had slowed completely. Her mother's skin had a healthy color again. Her eyes were bright, and her movements were no longer weak or uncertain. Kara could hardly believe the change. She remembered the fear she had felt when the bite first happened, and now saw life returning fully. She thought of the human who had left hours earlier. His presence lingered in the lessons he had taught her. Observe, act, trust life, guide it carefully. Kara understood now that it was not magic. It was simple, patient, and intelligent action. The human had shown her how humans survived dangers that others could not. The medics had returned, this time with respect instead of doubt. They scanned Sila carefully, whispering to each other as they recorded the data. Kara watched silently. She knew they could not fully understand what had happened, but they could see the results. Human methods had worked where advanced technology had failed. "You have done well, little one of the alien medics said to Kara quietly.
Ooh, your care is impressive.
Kara felt a smile grow slowly on her face.
I followed instructions,
She said. "I learned from someone who knew how." The medics nodded. They did not ask for the human's name. They did not question him. They only recorded what they could observe: the recovery, the methods, the patience, and the careful action. Kara turned back to her mother. "Mother," she said softly, "you are going to be okay. You are strong, and now we know how to fight danger together." "I felt your care," she said, "and the other, human. I understand why humans survive. They act when others wait. They trust life and guide it. They do not give up." Kara nodded. She felt proud. She felt grateful. She understood why the human had taken risks. Not for glory, not for reward, but because action mattered more than waiting. Because life mattered more than fear. Over the next few cycles, Kara continued the care for her mother. She applied the knowledge she had learned, carefully watching for any sign of the venom's return. She spoke softly, monitored breathing, adjusted stabilizers, and kept her mother calm. Each small step of action kept her mother safe and improved her strength. The station buzzed with life outside. Aliens moved quickly through corridors, unaware of the quiet battle that had taken place. Yet slowly, rumors spread. A human had acted where technology failed. A human had guided life when others waited. Some whispered about courage. Some whispered about skill. Others simply marveled. Kara realized something important. Humans were not the strongest species. They did not have the most advanced machines. They did not always follow rules. But they survived because they acted when others could not. They acted not recklessly, but with thought, care, and courage. That made them different. That made them valuable. That made them remarkable. Her mother grew stronger each day. Soon, Sela could sit up fully, speak more clearly, and even move around a little. Kara stayed close, helping her, watching, guiding. She felt a new confidence in herself. She had learned more than medicine. She had learned courage, patience, observation, care. She had learned what it meant to act when life depended on it. Finally, Sela stood fully on her own. She looked at Kara and smiled, steady and confident.
"You saved me," she said. "But more than that, you learned to guide life."
That is what humans do. That is why they survive. That is why they matter. Kara felt tears come, but she smiled too. She knew her mother's words were true. The human had not only saved her mother's life, but had shown Kara a lesson that would remain forever. Courage, action, and care could achieve what machines, rules, or fear could not. Kara thought about the human as she helped her mother move safely through the small living unit. She hoped to meet him again one day. She hoped to learn more. She hoped to see humans act again in impossible situations, showing the galaxy a strength that others could not match. Outside the unit, the station moved with quiet rhythm. Aliens worked, spoke, and lived their lives. Some paused, remembering the human who had acted when all else failed. Some whispered the story of courage, careful action, and the survival of life. Kara understood now why humans had a place in the galaxy, not because of technology or strength, not because of rules or orders, but because humans acted when others waited. Because humans observed carefully, responded wisely, and trusted life even in danger. That was the power of humanity. That was the reason they endured. As her mother grew stronger, Kara felt hope and determination grow within her. She would continue careful guidance, careful care, and careful action. She would remember the lessons of the human. She would teach others what she had learned. The room was quiet, peaceful, and full of life again. Sela smiled at her daughter. Kira smiled back. Both of them knew that life had won, that courage had mattered, that careful action had changed everything. Well, and far away in the corridors of the station, the galaxy had learned something as well. Humans survived because they acted. They guided life. They trusted courage, observation, and careful care. That was why they endured, why they mattered, and why hope followed them wherever they went. Kara held her mother's hand, feeling the warmth and life returning fully. She whispered, "We are going to be okay. We survived, and we will continue. Life matters, and so do we." Sela squeezed her daughter's hand, smiling. "Yes," she said softly. "Life matters, and humans remind us how strong hope can be." The station continued its endless rhythm. Outside, creatures, ships, and people went about their tasks. But in that small room, Kara and her mother had seen the difference courage, patience, and human action could make. The story of survival, guidance, and careful action would remain with them forever. Kara knew that the lessons she had learned from the human would guide her for the rest of her life. Life could be fragile. Danger could strike unexpectedly. But courage, careful observation, and action could save it. That was the power of humans. That was the power of hope. That was the story she would never forget.